So we finally did it. After ocean cruises, after expedition sailings, we stepped onto our very first Viking River Cruise. And honestly, it humbled us because almost everything we thought we knew about cruising, wrong. The food setup, the tours, the packing rules, full of surprises. So if you're a first-timer or someone who's cruised oceans but never a river, this one's for you. Here are the most important things nobody tells you before you board. Let's get into it. The first thing that genuinely threw us off? Silence. Complete silence. Viking has this policy now where they make 0 announcements over the loudspeaker, no reminders for tours, no dinner calls, nothing. At first we kept thinking we were missing something important, but once you settle into it, it's actually beautiful. No noise pollution, just peace. The only time you'll hear anything overhead is a real emergency. So how do you stay on track? You check the printed daily schedule in your cabin, or better yet, the app, which we'll talk about next. But bottom line, on Viking, you manage your own day. Nobody's holding your hand over a PA system. Before you even start packing, pull out your phone and download the Viking Voyager app. This is not one of those apps you install and forget about. This thing is your cruise. Since there are 0 onboard announcements, everything lives in here. Excursion times, daily schedule, menus, ship info, room details, all of it. Every single morning we opened it first thing to check our tour group number and pier departure time, and the best part? It runs entirely on the ship's Wi-Fi once you're on board, no international data plan needed. You'll also get a paper schedule in your cabin, but having everything on your phone is just so much more convenient. Do not skip this step. Okay, this one genuinely made us happy. On Viking River Cruises, you can bring any food or alcohol on board. No restrictions, no confiscations, no drama. Pick up a local wine at a port stop, bring it back. Grab fresh bread and cheese from a village market. Totally welcome. And here's what really blew our minds. There are 0 corkage fees, and the staff will actually serve your wine at dinner. That is almost unheard of in the cruise world. Most ocean lines confiscate your alcohol at boarding or charge steep fees. We picked up a couple bottles of Riesling at one of our stops and enjoyed them in the lounge that evening with people we just met 2 days before. It makes the whole experience feel relaxed, personal, and genuinely European. If you've ever suffered through a 2-hour ocean cruise boarding process, this is going to feel like a dream. Viking's River embarkation is the fastest we've ever experienced in our lives. We stepped off the transfer bus, had our passports scanned, received our key cards, and we're standing in our cabin, all within 15 minutes. Our bags showed up right after we did. It felt less like boarding a massive ship and more like checking into a quiet boutique hotel. No enormous terminals, no endless queues, no security screening chaos. Just smooth, calm, and incredibly efficient. One pro tip, complete your pre-cruise online check-in beforehand, and it gets even faster. This is technically optional, but we're so glad we did it. When you book flights through Viking, the entire experience begins the second your plane lands. A Viking representative was already waiting at the airport with a welcome sign. They gathered the whole group, handled every single bag, loaded everyone onto a private bus, and drove us straight to the ship. We didn't touch our luggage again until it appeared in our stateroom. That level of seamless, door-to-door service is genuinely rare. And because Viking staggers arrival times, check-in never feels crowded or rushed. If you fly independently, that's completely fine, but you won't get that VIP treatment. For a stress-free start to your trip, Viking Air with transfers is absolutely worth considering. If Cruisify is helping you plan smarter, hit that subscribe button right now. We've got so much more Viking and River Cruise content coming your way. We genuinely didn't know what to pack for this trip. Formal? Smart casual? Turns out neither. The vibe on a Viking River Cruise is incredibly relaxed. During the day, most people were in comfortable travel brands like Columbia, Patagonia, or Eddie Bauer, layerable, practical, easy to move in. At dinner, people casually upgraded to slacks or a simple button-down, but we barely spotted a suit or an evening dress the entire sailing. We actually overpacked. If you're coming from ocean cruising with its themed formal nights and cocktail attire requirements, leave all of that at home. Just bring neat, weather-appropriate clothes, and you are completely set. The laid-back atmosphere honestly makes everything from dining to excursions feel so much more comfortable and unpretentious. Here's something. Viking genuinely stands out. You get a complimentary shore excursion included at every single port stop. These are usually guided walking tours or scenic bus trips, and they're a perfect introduction to each destination. On our sailing, we did everything from a medieval city walk to a full-day Normandy experience. Some were absolutely incredible. Others felt a bit basic or a little rushed. So our advice, read every tour description carefully before you commit. You can always upgrade to optional paid excursions if you want something deeper and more immersive. Just know that the free including tours are the most popular, so they tend to be a bit general and can feel crowded. Choose wisely. This one genuinely tripped us up. When Viking labels any excursion as panoramic, that means it's a bus tour. Most of your sightseeing will happen through a window, not on foot. If you're imagining strolling cobblestone streets or stopping freely for photos, a panoramic tour is probably going to disappoint you. We chose one in Paris, thinking there'd be some walking involved, but we ended up stuck in traffic for most of it. Not ideal. So here's the simple rule. If you want to actually explore, avoid anything labeled panoramic. These tours are genuinely great for guests with mobility limitations. But for active travelers who want to move and discover, skip them and choose something else. On every single Viking excursion, you'll be handed a small audio device called a QuietVox, and honestly, it's a complete game changer. Your guide speaks into a small microphone and you hear them crystal clearly through your earpiece, even if you've wandered several steps behind the group. The devices come with standard wired earbuds, but here's a pro tip straight from our experience. Bring a Bluetooth adapter like the Airfly. We connected our AirPods to it and it worked flawlessly. You can also use any regular wired headphones with a 3.5mm jack. Whether you're inside a crowded cathedral or ducked into a narrow alley for a photo, you'll never miss a single word of commentary. It's a small thing that makes tours feel seamless. Viking designs its excursions with its older guest demographic very much in mind, so don't expect to power walk through cities or burn serious calories. Most tours move at a gentle, comfortable pace, frequent stops, plenty of sitting opportunities, minimal stairs, and climbing. Honestly, on day one, as travelers in our early 40s, we were a little restless. We're used to faster, more active travel, and this felt slow. But once we shifted our mindset, we realized the pace was actually giving us more time for better photos, deeper conversations with guides, real connection with each location. And with the QuietVox headset, you can drift ahead or linger behind without losing your guide. It's a different kind of travel. Slower, yes, but genuinely more rewarding. We're dropping new cruise guides every week on Cruisify. Subscribe so you never miss one. At every port stop, Viking makes these incredibly useful little cards available, usually right by the gangway or at guest services. They're not generic tourist maps. They specifically highlight key landmarks and clearly mark where your ship is docked. That alone makes them worth grabbing every single time. But the emergency contact card is what really matters. It has the ship's local phone number and the exact docking address printed on it. Something you can physically show a taxi driver or local shopkeeper if you get lost or your phone dies. One afternoon, our cell service completely dropped in a small town, and a photo of that card on our phone got us back to the ship. Simple little detail, massive peace of mind. This is one of those reality checks about river cruising that nobody really prepares you for, because Viking sails are actual rivers. Water levels and weather conditions can shift your entire itinerary with very little notice. On our final day, the scene was running too high for us to return to Paris as planned. We docked about 30 minutes outside the city and were bussed in instead. Was it exactly what we'd imagined? No. We'd been looking forward to spending our last evening docked right behind the Eiffel Tower. But Viking handled the situation smoothly and professionally. The lesson here is simple. Flexibility is not optional on a river cruise. It's essential. Sometimes Plan B ends up being just as memorable. If you're coming from ocean cruising with those large balcony staterooms, prepare yourself mentally for something more compact. Our veranda stateroom on Viking was around 200 square feet, just enough room for 2 chairs, a small table, and a narrow walkway alongside the bed. That said, Viking is genuinely smart about how they use the space. Plenty of closet storage, underbed space for suitcases, bathroom shelving for toiletries. We especially loved the heated tile floors, a small luxury that felt surprisingly indulgent on cool mornings. But the layout is tight, especially that slim gap between the bed and the desk. Our packing tips: bring magnetic hooks, collapsible storage cubes, and avoid oversized luggage. Once you're unpacked, it feels cozy and completely functional. Just don't expect a hotel suite. This one actually surprised us quite a bit. Unlike Viking's ocean and expedition ships, Viking river ships have 0 self-service laundry facilities. That means unless you're staying in a suite, which does include complimentary laundry, you're either paying around $5 to $8 per item to send things out, or you're doing it yourself in the sink. And no, the charming little riverside towns don't have laundromats either. So pack extra undergarments, choose fast-drying fabrics wherever possible, and bring detergent sheets or pods. We always travel with a small foldable drying line and a few clips. Takes up almost 0 suitcase space and saves the day repeatedly. On cruises 10 days or longer, this simple little setup is absolutely essential. So after all of that, Viking River Cruises is a very different kind of travel experience. It's quieter, slower, and more controlled, but also more personal, more relaxed, and surprisingly thoughtful. Once you understand how it works, everything just clicks and the experience becomes incredibly smooth. If Cruisify is helping you plan smarter, hit that subscribe button right now. We've got so much more Viking and River Cruise content coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next cruise.